Hi, I'm John Paul Raj, and I'm on a mission to make the learning of math fun. So if you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing. This is part 4 of a series of videos that we've been doing on financial mathematics. In case you've missed out on any of the earlier videos before, I'm going to link those videos in the description box below. Please go ahead and take a look at them. On this particular video, we're going to talk about amortization tables. Let's start. When a bank offers you a loan, whether it's a home loan, a car loan, a personal loan, it's going to give you some kind of a table, all right? It's like the payment plan. That table is called the amortization table. It splits into that period. Let's say the period was 20 years in this problem that we ended in the last video about, taking a home loan. I think this was 20 years. We took it for 20 years, a loan of 50 lakhs, okay, 50 lakhs Indian rupees. In India, like I said, the home loan is about 6.7% in most of the banks. And one particular bank, I saw something like 6.9. So be careful if you're applying for a home loan and it's being compounded monthly, all right? So they give you this breakup plan. If you say, I'm going to pay back the loan in 20 years, they'll give you a breakup as to how much you're going to be paying back per installment. That per installment is what we call payment every month. That's a fixed amount that you're going to be paying every month for those 20 years, all right? That fixed amount actually is a split between the interest and the principal being the amount that you have borrowed, or the bank that has loaned you that amount, whether it's for the home loan in this case. So when you're paying back that 50 lakhs, you're paying back the 50 lakhs that you borrowed and the interest that's applicable, 6.7% per annum compounded monthly. So the table actually gives you a division. You can actually see on the table how much of that equal installments per month you're going to pay. So for this particular question that we solved in part 3, if you have not seen that video, go ahead and take a look at it. The payment per month was something like 37,659. Okay, you can round it off to 38,000. It's a round figure and say, okay, every month you got to pay 38,000 rupees back for those 20 years. That 38,000 comprises of the interest and a portion of the loan that is borrowed, okay, a portion of the 50,000. And the table that I'm talking about, the amortization table, actually gives you that split. So you can read that. Sometimes we overlook those lists, but you should be calculating that anyway, especially if you wake up one day and say, hey, we've paid up till 9 months. Now, what's the balance remaining? And what if we want to pay more? The fixed amount that you're paying every month, suddenly you decide that, you want to pay more so that you can try and wrap up the loan quickly. So that amortization table helps. And yes, the bank is going to give you, that chart, but I will tell you at the end of this video why you need to learn to make your own amortization table. So keep watching, all right? So let's get back to that calculator, and I'll show you how to prepare that amortization table for this particular question. Again, as I said before, this question was solved in part 3. If you've not seen, you need to go and take a look at it. In this particular video, we're just focusing on amortization table, the table, all right? So the first thing is to know the syntax for that amortization table function, all right? So if you go to this catalog key, which will give you all the number 1 will give you all the syntax for all the possible functions that are available on your TI Nspire. As you can see, the second one itself is amortization table. Can you see that? Okay, so just in case if you didn't have that, let's say it was somewhere around the letter V, something like that. If you had it, and you're looking for amortization table, you can just type in A and the first letter of the word that you look searching for, and it'll give you all the syntax. And then you just have to arrow down, and amortization table, that's the syntax for that particular function. So you can just copy this thing down. Okay, I'm going to hit Command C, Control C, and hit Escape. And because I can't remember that right now, I'm just going to go and add a notes page. And I'm just going to paste that function here. So you can see the syntax, and I'm going to explain the syntax in a minute, all right? So here we go. Amortization table, it's AMOTTBL, all right? That's just shortened for amortization table. End payment is talking about the entries that will come on the table, all right? So since we have a question which was something like 20 years, we said that this loan, it was something like 20-year period. 20 years, that means you got the number of payments as 240. Remember, every month you're paying back. So there's got to be 240 entries when the bank gives you, all right? This amortization table, when the bank gives you, there's going to be 240 entries. Now, obviously, when you want to look at this table, 240 is going to be a long list. So let's say we just wanted the first 10, so 0 to 10, right? That's what you write here. If you say 10, it'll give you the first 10 entries. If you say 20, it'll give you the first 20 entries. If you say 240, it'll give you all the 240s, but it's going to be a very long list. Unfortunately, this function will not give you the entry between, let's say, 10 to 20. It will have to start from 0 to 10 or 0 to 20. So when you hit a number 20 here, that will mean that it's going to give you the first 20 entries. Clear? N is going to be the number of payments, which is 240 in our case. I is going to be the interest, which was 6.7% in our case. PV is the present value. That's the loan that is borrowed. Payment is going to be the monthly payment. We've already calculated the monthly payment. So that's going to be the monthly payment. And these things are self-explanatory. They're just like the entries that we had in the finance solver. FV for finance value, payments per year, compounding periods per year, and payment at, meaning beginning or end. And we can leave that as a blank. In fact, even the rounding value, you can leave it as a blank because anything that is given in that rectangular box is option, right? I'm going to jump to the calculator page. And the way to get it is if you go to menu, finance, and you can see number 3 is amortization. There's lots of functions that you can explore. The first one is amortization table, and it gives that, that short form amort_tbl. And because it's a handful to remember, all right? So that's why I thought it's a good habit to just, copy it and paste it on the notes page. And then you can take a look at it. As I said, the first parameter is going to be the number of entries you want, okay? So let's say we wanted the first 10 entries to be displayed, all right? So I'm going to write 10. The second is N. The second is N, all right? N is 240 in this case because, 20 years and every month. So that's going to be 240. You can enter these values directly from the question. The interest is 6.7. You can enter it 6.7. Or if you've already done that finance solver, you can recall those values from the vars key. So if I want to bring back the interest, right, the next one is interest, I can go to the vars key and say, okay, tvm.i, okay? But that has to be entered in the finance solver, all right? So comma, what's the next entry? Present value. Again, we can go and recall that value, okay? Present value, there we go. The next one is payment, okay? And that definitely I'll say go and use that because then the rounding off, so I'm just going to call that payment. And I think the next one is future value. You can enter it also like this, okay? That, like I said, directly from the question, you can enter. The next one is payment per year. We said it was 12. Compounding periods per year. And the next field is payment at, which was about, the beginning of the month or the end of the month. In this case, we said beginning of the month, okay? Because normally when you pay back a loan, the EMI goes at the start of the month, the beginning of the month. So if you don't want to enter begin or something, you can just enter blank by, leave that space blank and put another comma there. And the last one is the rounding of value. And we'll say, 2 decimal places, all right? Now, when I hit enter, I'm going to get that table. As you can see, that first column is the number of entries. If I'd said in place of this command, if I just say like 20, let me just do that, okay, demonstrate that. So I go back and bring back that entry. And if I say the first entry, let's say this time I say 15, okay, that means it's going to list from 0 to 15, okay? I hit enter. Can you see that? The first 15 entries come through, all right? Unfortunately, it doesn't give that, like I said, for a specific period between 15 to 20, if you're interested in something like that. So that is how you find the amortization table, all right? But now let's try and understand what each of these columns represent. The first one is to be interpreted as the payment number. That's why it's called end payment. So the first payment, what goes out, the second payment, the third payment, so on and so forth. And remember, in this particular case, you're going to have 240 such rows. The bank is going to give you several pages, and sometimes we don't read such things. It's important to read, okay? And in this first case, I said 10. So you have 10 different rows. And the second case, I said 15. And so it gave, 15 different rows. And you can look at 9 as the 9th payment, all right? The 9th payment and 10 being the 10th payment, so on and so forth. So that's what the first column gives us. The second column will give you the amount of money. Remember, our payment per month is going to be a constant for those 240 months. Each month you're paying a constant amount. And we saw that in the finance solver, if I just go back to that, every month you're paying 37,000, something like that, okay? And that 37,000 is divided into the interest, okay? Some portion of the interest and some portion of the principal, all right? And principal meaning what is left over. So I'll come to that, okay? So the way we interpret the second column and the third column is that the second column entries give us the share of money that come from the interest, okay? That constitutes interest. So out of the 37,000 something, 27,916 is what you're paying for the interest. Whereas the 9,742, this is the first payment that is, okay? The 9,742 is what you're paying of the principal being the 50 lakhs that you have borrowed, okay? Let's try and verify this. So what we're going to do is that if I were to add these two figures, okay, I'm just going to copy this. Okay, and where do I have? Let me put it up here. Okay, and I'm going to plus. I'm just using the positive values because the negative indicates what you are going to pay, right? The money is leaving your pocket. Okay, so I'm just going to add these two just to verify and see whether these add up to the monthly payments. Remember, the monthly payments are a constant figure you're going to be paying every month for 20 years. All right, so here we go. When you add it up, you get that 37,659.45. All right, let's see. Let's go back and verify that is what it was. All right, so finance solver payment, can you see that? 37,000. Okay, the negative, as I said, you're paying back. So I'm going to hit escape. So the way to interpret the second and third column is the second column entries are what constitutes the interest from what is remaining, okay? And the third column constitutes numbers that constitute the principal. So for the first entry, because it's the first time you're paying, okay, the entry number one, the first payment number one, the 50 lakhs that you've borrowed, you're going to pay, every month you're paying 37,000, right? Out of those 37,000, 27,000, almost 28,000 is the interest. 9,700, only about 10,000 is what you're paying from the principal from what was actually borrowed. And the third column is what is left behind, the balance. Okay, after having paid the first installment, what is remaining, the balance is out of those 50 lakhs is that 49 lakhs, so on and so forth. So the second payment, when you're coming to the second payment, the second month, 27,862. Can you see that it's reduced slightly? That's the interest, but you're paying 9,797 from what is left. That is the principal now is 49 lakhs, so on and so forth. So if the question was something like, what would be the total amount left or the balance at the end of the sixth payment, all right? So you look at this row, which constitutes the sixth payment, the first entry, the second column, that constitutes the interest, whereas this 10,017.82, that constitutes the principal, okay? Both will add up to the fixed payment per month. I hope this was clear and not too confusing. If it was confusing, I suggest you pause the video, rewind it, and watch it again. Now, the reason I said it is important for us to understand amortization tables when it comes to all kinds of loans, may not be a housing loan, it could be a car loan, personal loan, whatever. I said that the bank is going to give us some kind of a amortization table, but still you need to be able to understand it and interpret that. That is one reason. The second reason is that when I was researching for this topic, I went around the HDFC bank loan, all right, the HDFC website, and this is what I found, all right. Now, this is same numbers, okay. Can you see this? 6.7%, all right, the interest rate, okay, and tenure, 20 years as was required in this particular question. 50 lakhs, I put it there. Surprisingly, the number that they've said is 37,870, whereas we said that it was 37,600 and something. Okay, that's just 200 rupees, you might say. But the total amount payable at the end of 20 years, according to this bank website, says 90 lakhs 88,731. Everything else is the same. Okay, look at what we calculated yesterday. We calculated that the total amount payable at the end of the 20 years is 90 lakhs 38,000. Whereas on the website, I see 90 lakhs 88,000. Maybe that is bank service charges, but 50,000 for service charges, I don't know. But, does it show up anywhere on the table? I don't know. But for the same numbers, as I said, 50 lakhs, 20 years, 6.7%, I noticed that there is a difference between what I calculated using the finance solver and what the bank had to say, all right? So as you can see, 90 lakhs 38,267. So in case you missed out part 3 of that video where we actually calculated the total amount payable as 90 lakhs 38,000, please go ahead and take a look at that video or try it out on your own using the finance solver, using your own numbers. But the most important thing which I wanted to show you is that there's a difference in what the bank projects. So there's got to be some kind of hidden charges, service charges, whatever that is. So it's very important to know how to read and interpret that amortization table. So in this video, we saw how we can use the TI Nspire CX-II to generate our own amortization table. And in the next video, we'll see how to use the amortization table to solve problems. I'll see you in that one.